Our media presentation project, it is me, Quentin Solinsky,
Beth Shear,
Justin Rehart,
Tim Kodalak,
and we are presenting on two different media sources that we found. The first being a video clip from the TV show Here Comes Honey Boo Boo, and the second was a news article about fat shaming. So our first video here is Here Comes Honey Boo Boo video.
Yeah, that sounds right.
The weight loss thing for the girls hasn't been going too good. Today I'm planning on making like some cabbage soup. It's gonna probably be my last ditch effort to try to get the girls into shape for the commitment ceremony.
Hey, Tommy, what do you think about vegetables? I don't know. What do you think about hot dogs? Yummy, yummy.
I gotta eat this, I better lose 50 pounds instantly. I don't eat these damn things. These don't even taste good when they come with chicken wings, peanut butter, or whatever else you want to put on. A big person can be healthy if they take care of themselves. It's not ready to the rescue. I mean, we try all different kinds of things for the girls to lose weight. We tried exercising, which sucks. So we're gonna try vegetables, which is really gonna suck, but it gets your bowels moving. Well, the soup's been cooking for a while now, and it smells like wet gym shorts. You lose your appetite before having to eat the soup. That's why you lose weight with this diet. Fucking Jessica, Anna, come here a minute!
The cabbage soup looked like some throw up in a bowl.
Oh my gosh!
For eating this, you're eating it, Mama. Is there any meat in it?
No. It's just like vegetable soup, but it's called cabbage.
You know, a lot of guys dig big girls, you know? I'm serious. Yeah, like Sugar Bear, for example. Sugar Bear's pretty daggone skinny. Well, he's not skinny, but he had a little pudge to him. But I mean, Mama's big.
Hold your nose and eat 2 bites.
You take a spoonful, I'll take a spoonful. If losing weight means eating nasty food, then I'm just gonna give up because I can't eat nasty food to lose weight.
I'm about to puke. Oh my god, I'm about to puke for real. Oh my god.
Okay, so as we see there, Here Comes Honey Boo Boo was a reality television show aired on the Learning Channel TLC, and it was a really popular show for some reason. So the high views that it got on an episode was 3.2 million viewers, and that was the second highest viewed television show for women aged 18 to 34 on that night. So it's generally aimed towards a target population of those, in that kind of general geographic area, Caucasians of the lower middle class, and mostly just anybody who can relate to the TV show, because that's how they draw people in. It's more of a, being that reality TV show, it's kind of like a comedy thing in an aspect for them, because they're pointing fingers and placing blame and laughing at those type of people, which, isn't really the right way to go about that.
Alright, so this particular clip of the show is portraying some of the negative aspects of healthy eating. The mom talks about this being kind of her last-ditch effort that shows that the family doesn't really know how to correctly integrate healthy eating into their daily lives and changing some of their daily habits. The reactions that it portrays to the food, these are negative feelings similar to the target demographic. There's a lot of people that, they just kind of have it in their mind that healthy eating has to taste terrible, which is kind of the next point, that people always assume that healthy eating is more expensive than unhealthy eating, and also that it typically doesn't taste as good. So it kind of reinforces that with their target audience.
mainly our hidden message was kind of like healthy eating tastes worse than unhealthy eating, which is, I mean, it's kind of not true. I gotta be honest. I mean, you can throw spices on the regular types of chicken and actually spice them up, make them taste better. I mean, there's definitely ways that they're doing it. Low carb wraps taste good. Another thing was eating healthy negates unhealthy lifestyle habits. And then another one is one place where we replace all unhealthy meals, which is, we all know that's not true. One meal is not just going to do one thing for everything else. You have to actually keep doing meals, doing about 7 small frequent meals, actually replacing those meals. Everything begins with the parents. We kind of did that. I mean, because you showed, I mean, the little kid obviously doesn't really know how to eat, and the parent was fixing whatever the kid had to eat. And then also another one is people always look for the quick fix, the fad diets where you want to lose weight and what, 2 weeks you're going to lose 20 pounds, but it just doesn't really work like that. It's diet, exercise. It's going to take time. It's going to take that 6 months. It's going to take that long term. So that's what we kind of have with the hidden message.
And I think for kind of examples for those, like even when the mom was talking and she said, "Oh, we tried exercising and that sucked," so they're just like, "Oh, if we eat healthy, that's all right."
Mm-hmm.
As well as when she says, "If I eat this, I better lose 50 pounds," which is showing like that's like a quick fix, one meal. You know, and they can eat that once a day, and that's gonna like negate everything else that they do with like all of their other unhealthy lifestyle choices.
And then what don't we see, the untold story, is the fact that she and her entire family are choosing sedentary behavior. Like we touched on, they're not exercising. They just think it sucks simply. They're not outside like playing sports or running around or anything like that. So it's their unhealthy lifestyle that they're choosing. And they just seem to not even care about their health. They're just trying the cabbage soup, and then that's about it. That's their only shot. She's not like planning meals ahead for tomorrow or the next day or the next week or even anything else. And then also, of course, what goes on behind the scenes. We don't see all their poor choices in diets and what they're choosing to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snacks and everything that goes into that.
Yeah, and I guess we kind of touched on that here as a group as well, talking about like behind the scenes. They're a reality TV show stars now, basically, so they can do whatever they want normally, but on TV they have to play these characters essentially. And we joked around like maybe they're running for city council in their meantime, but we don't know what's going on behind that, which could play an integral part of that. So the negative message that are kind of portrayed in the video is that eating healthy is bad and hard, when essentially it's not. You know, if you just plan out instead of thinking like, oh, I'm going to eat this today and then we'll see what happens tomorrow. And another thing is like cabbage soup is like the worst example for them to eat because it's not great. But, you know, there are a lot of other options that if they did some research in and looked at it, they could do that. Another thing is when the mother says that you can be overweight and healthy if you take care of yourself. But that's not portrayed in the show. You know, in the show, they're not taking care of themselves. They're not exercising. And, you know, there are those people who can be a little heavier and healthy, you know, following all the lifestyle guidelines and eating healthy, exercising, all that stuff. But being like overweight, obese, we talked about, you can't really do that and be healthy at the same time. It kind of goes against each other.
All right, and some of the tools of persuasion that were used in the show, they use humor because they've portrayed the family in a way that the target audience kind of watches the family and they're like, you know, oh, look at them having trouble with what they're doing, and they kind of feel better about themselves because they get to laugh at somebody else and their failures. And they also used association because they're associating with the people of their target audience. They're showing aspects of healthy living that they already believe. So they're showing that eating healthy, it doesn't taste good, it's gross. And this is kind of reinforcing what a lot of the target audience might already hold to be true. What they could have done differently in the show. So in a real life situation, you could research to find, there's lots of websites and other sources of information that'll help you find, healthy meals that taste good. There's whole cookbooks devoted to it. Since they are on, a cable television network and they're being paid to be on the show could have very easily hired a chef that could have been used, to help them prepare better tasting and healthier food. as well as they could have brought on a dietitian, like a registered dietitian, to help consult with them to find, better ways to get the results that they're looking for without having to resort to the fad diet that they did, which the cabbage soup is part of a fad diet. So they could have, not shown that and instead gone with more proven methods.
She also focused on just the eating. She really just danced over the exercise. She decided working out sucked. So they also could have tried a personal trainer, or even just gone as a family to the gym or activity, throwing a frisbee or something.
Yeah, I mean, and doing the fun thing, I mean, that's how you actually reach out to somebody. A personal trainer is going to kind of take your views on things. What do you like to do for fun? And it's going to make it into an actual workout. That's what personal trainers do. So you reach out to personal trainers and you reach out to nutrition consultants because they know what they're talking about. They can also make it fun for you. They can make food fun for you, too, as well, in a healthy way.
Yeah. So our next article was a case for shaming obese people tastefully. So just kind of a general overview of the article. It claims that the author interviewed a bioethicist, and he claims that similar to his situation in an anti-smoking perspective, fat shaming should be used as a scare tactic to kind of inspire people that are overweight and obese to try and lose weight. So it was published on The Atlantic, which is a digital newspaper, written by Lindsay Abrams, like I said, and an interview of bioethicist Daniel Callahan.
Kind of their target audience are those who are not obese, given the voice of the article. And The Atlantic has approximately almost 500,000 subscribers and averages 3.1 million monthly unique visitors. So it has a pretty large following of people who read, what's posted on their website. And as far as, the population that usually views it, their average income in 2012 was shown to be $88,000. So we're looking at more upper middle class to upper class citizens, usually working professional type people. The average age of the viewers was about 53 years old, and they've shown that approximately 64% of the readers are male. So it's definitely a very targeted audience that they are delivering this message to. And the website's listed below for where we got the statistics that are listed there.
And then kind of like the main message, we put Callahan believes that fat shaming should be used as a scare tactic to lose weight, which it's not something you want to do at all. I mean, you kind of want the positive reinforcement of things, make people feel good about losing weight. Another one was people are overweight, remain hopelessly unaware of their plight. Another one was social pressure combined with vigorous government action. Because, I mean, really the government's not really doing anything to help us out. I mean, we were talking earlier about having like a neighborhood where it's actually nice to walk outside and stuff like that, or like 2 miles down the road they're gonna have fast food instead of having like a nice choice, maybe even Panera instead of actually having that McDonald's or anything like that. And also it said people don't hate being overweight enough. Where this guy really doesn't actually know what the overweight side of things can actually do to somebody, can actually do to their mindset, because he's been skinny his entire life. So I mean, you can't really actually factor that in. So that was kind of like our main message point of view of that.
And then for subtext, basically the message he's trying to send is you must diet to live. So like you said before, he's trying to say he quit smoking because he compared it to be threatened to his life, actually. So he thinks it's the same exact thing for dieting. You just have to be scared enough to accept a healthy diet. And then that you cannot have any healthy habits if you're overweight. So he's trying to place all the blame on the individual, that they're not taking responsibility for all their habits and lifestyle choices. And he's going with the all or nothing approach. He's not taking into consideration all the different aspects that go into something. You think either you're healthy or you're not. There's no in between at all. He's just piling it all on you, or saying you're okay. And then he applies his personal situation with smoking to the entire overweight population, as I said before.
Yeah, he was a pretty big extremist, saying that if you're fat, you don't hate being fat enough, and yeah, you might eat a little healthy, but that's not good enough, and you're still fat. It didn't matter. It was like the all or nothing. He was a big
he thought
extremist.
it was like the ultimate sin to be overweight. Like that's exactly what he thought.
So for persuasion tactics in this one, they brought in an expert, being a bioethicist, and he, lended his sort of credibility from his perspective on what should be done in order to end the overweight trend in America, as well as like scare tactics and government action. He said so, like heavy taxes and other things like that could help to cause the overweight people to lose weight. Fear. This was a direct quote from him. He said, "The force of being shamed and beat upon socially," and he was talking about how that would help the overweight people lose weight, when in reality that actually plays like a negative effect on them. An extrapolation, he uses his one single experience from quitting smoking by all the anti-smoking ads that were like threatening to him, and applies it to the entire overweight population, saying that if we just essentially make fun of them for being fat and like beat them socially, that they can lose weight easily, when it's a lot more than that.
And some of the negative messages that come through in this article, it's thinly veiled, but he basically advocates discrimination. He calls it stigmatization light, but it basically is fat shaming. He advocates for negative reinforcement. Making these people feel bad about themselves is going to lead to them losing weight. And this article was written in 2013, and there have been many studies since then that have shown that actually has the exact opposite effect that's intended. When people are fat shamed, they basically see no reason to change their behaviors, and they have no encouragement to go the other direction. And another quote from the article that portrays a very negative message is, abandon the lost causes and embark on a new era of zero tolerance for body fat. And it's a very extreme view, and like Justin mentioned earlier, it makes it seem like the worst thing a person can be is fat, and this is just a very negative message to portray to the readers.
Like another thing, mainly kind of going on that negative reinforcement, I don't really know too many people that actually like negative reinforcement. I mean, maybe an extreme athlete, like a football player or somebody like that, who actually is like, okay, well, let me prove you wrong. But the general population, if you actually get a negative reinforcement, they're clearly trying to go the other way on things and actually break down. So, I mean, it's never going to be a good thing to do negative reinforcement.
For the untold story, overweight person's perspective on fat shaming, Mr. Callahan went with the other side of this. So he, like we said before, he doesn't know what it's like to be overweight, so he can't exactly look from their perspective. So he piles on all the blame on the individual without, like we said, negative reinforcement. That only works, if you're an athlete or maybe military. But most people respond well to positive reinforcement. And then education rather than fat shaming. Just inform and educate, like tell people what to do without making them feel like crap, So just educate them. And
yeah, I mean, it was like with this article, I mean, all he did was just literally destroy people that are overweight, instead of actually talking about a meal plan or talking about exercise. Like, we don't even know this guy's background. Like, I mean, it didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, he didn't really promote all the positives from it, as far as increase in energy and just well-being and other things like that. He was all negative. The whole theme was negative from his whole perspective.
So for a conclusion for the whole project, it's that like media these days, it's seeming like it's much easier to find like negative aspects of people being overweight rather than positive ones. I think it's sort of starting to change now, because exercise is becoming like a new big push in our society, which is great. But before that, these being a little older, the Honey Boo Boo Show got canceled in 2014. It started in 2012, as well as that article we read was 2013. So things have kind of changed since then, even, which is a relatively short period of time. But it always was negative, and now that it's starting to get more positive, you're starting to kind of see more, especially in the younger population, more people wanting to work out and be fit and look better and enhance their lives as well.
Right. And like with what he was saying, there's a lot of times where the analogy is made between the campaign that went on to get people to quit cigarette smoking and getting people to lose weight. And in some ways, I think that you can see similarities. But the campaign against cigarette smoking was very much, like we were saying, fear-based. This is what's going to happen to you, and that's kind of the direction they went with that. And you can live without cigarette smoking, just fine. Whereas I think we're now starting to see that when it comes to changing lifestyle habits, which, when you're talking about overweight and obesity, it's about changing lifestyle habits. We're seeing that, it needs to be more positive. It needs to be more, helping each other out, education-based, not just fear-based, because when you start confronting people, they get very defensive and kind of goes the other direction. So I think that's why with what Quentin said is that, we're starting to see social media and things like that change kind of the direction that they're taking with this issue.
And then for me, like, it's a lot of people with the education purposes of actually dieting and knowing actually what you put into your body. If you actually look at it, like my dad, I know, like a lot of the baby boomers, they grew up with the idea of fats are terrible for you. Where you guys actually didn't come in to realize until like the 80s and the 90s that sugar has been the problem. It's always been the problem. A lot of sugar is in your diet. It's going to relate to that cancer. It's going to relate to that cardiovascular disease. So, that's actually something that we need to educate people on. And, that's why you actually see registered dietitians, nutritionists. The field is growing immensely.
It's jobs that didn't exist.
That's what I'm saying.
10, 20
and
years
booming.
ago, and they're
booming
huge
now.
Yeah. I was just going to add that people respond better to positive reinforcement. So if we see more advertisements just promoting all the health benefits rather than just trying to scare everyone because you're overweight, that's terrible. That's people are going to respond to that. If you promote, like, you're going to get more energy if you start working out more. You're going to feel better. You're not going to have a stomachache after you eat a bad meal. You're going to feel good after you eat a healthy meal. That's basically what my whole message was, to promote the positives more.
Okay. All of that.